Man, after almost 5 years in the game, trucking has absolutely ruined my life.
I'm trying to breathe, and you'll see that I live in a world of I don't give a fuck, bitch.
Hey, what's up there, Wolfpack? Lone Wolf Trucker coming back at you with another video. This video forces me to face a harsh reality. And that reality is, trucking hasn't ruined my life. My life was already in ruins before I even got into trucking. And that's facts. So let me get into it. Now, I've been looking for someone or something to blame for the decisions that I've made that got me to this point. And trucking would be a convenient outlet to do so. But I had to catch myself before I went down that road. Now, I've been in the trucking game now for going on 5 years. I got my CDL back in 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic. But let me rewind a little bit to 2019. 2019, I was in a whole different profession, whole different occupation. 20 years almost. I was a successful real estate broker. Number 2 as far as sales volume in the state of Georgia for 2019. Had a successful real estate team, successful real estate brokerage, real estate coach, real estate mentor, real estate instructor, quote unquote real estate guru, known in some circles. I was at the pinnacle of my professional career in real estate. From the outside looking in, or at least at the surface, I seem to have everything going on. Who could ask for more? I've achieved all of the goals and objectives that I set out to achieve. I've even achieved things that I'd never dreamed I would achieve in my real estate career. But after all the awards and accolades and everything that I've done, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy because there was something going on underneath the surface. Something that was leading to my demise. So although I was outperforming and hitting all these goals and exceeding all these goals in my professional life, my personal life was in ruins. Pending imminent separation, pending imminent divorce, pending imminent family structure breakdown, pending losing everything that I worked so hard over the years to build. I wasn't happy. Now, with that said, although I wasn't happy, I was willing to trade or sacrifice my happiness for my family. My ex-wife, on the other hand, had different plans. She was willing to trade our family for her happiness. That's why I say, personally, all these things were imminent. The course was already set. It was already charted and was going to happen. So being with all the things that were going down in my personal life, professionally, I had nothing else to achieve, had no desire to build things up, because everything I was building, everything I was doing was for my family. Hindsight, they say hindsight is 20/20, looking back on things. When you're so intensely focused on one thing, as I was back then, as far as my professional career and all the things I was so intensely into, in one hand, on the other hand, I neglected a lot of things, which ultimately led to my demise. So, as I said, my life was in ruins before I got into trucking. But I was still looking for someone or something to blame. Trucking just happened to be a convenient outlet for me to blame my decisions and my actions on something. But the reality is, I can't blame trucking. Like I said, my life was already in ruins before I got into trucking. I'm totally 100% responsible for the decisions I made, being of sound mind, being an adult. I'm the one who's responsible for the decisions I've made and where I am today. But having said that, I wish someone would have told me these three things. The first thing I wish somebody would have told me is that trucking ain't gonna solve your problems. All of the problems and issues that you have coming into trucking ain't gonna magically disappear. Matter of fact, depending on how you start off your trucking career, trucking may bring you more problems than you already have. But it damn sure ain't gonna solve your problems. If your shit is fucked up when you get into trucking ain't gonna magically solve that. I wish somebody would have told me that. Number 2, owner-operator is a bad business model. God, is it so bad. On my feeble attempt to become an owner-operator, I found out some valuable lessons along the way. Number 1, well, first and foremost, it's a bad business model. Whether you're own your own truck and equipment, whether you lease it, really doesn't matter. It's the same pretty much business model, whether you own your own equipment or not. Now, if you got your own DOT and all that stuff, and you got your own freight brokerage, you got your own sales team, I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about that business model. I'm talking about the typical owner-op business model. One man, one woman, one truck. Whether you own, leased on to somebody, running the spot market, load boards, whatever. It's a bad business model. Wish somebody would have told me. All you're doing is buying yourself a job. And for you to understand this, there's a book by Robert Kiyosaki. I'm going to post it somewhere up on the screen. But there's a book by Robert Kiyosaki called The Cash Flow Quadrant. if you have time and want to learn something, go read that book. You need to actually read it, not the audio book version. You need to actually see the diagrams to understand what I'm talking about. But the owner op is a bad business model. Number one, because you are still on the left side of the cash flow quadrant. You're not on the right side. The right side is where you want to be. Now, being able to build yourself up to get to the right side, that was my whole intention of becoming an owner op. But I quickly realized, due to the freight market, that was going to be a harder task than I initially thought. And I eventually abandoned that idea based on the business model. And the reason that I say owner op is a bad business model, aside from the way it's set up, you pretty much need to have yourself a fleet of trucks in order to make a profit and move yourself from the left side of that cash flow quadrant over to the right side where you need to be. You need to be a business owner or an investor. You need to be on that right side of the cash flow quadrant. Just being self-employed is just buying yourself a job. So that's why I say it's a bad business model, because as a typical owner-operator, you don't have any direct customers and you're not able to scale the business. If you can't scale the business, there's no way you're going to go from the left side of the cash flow quadrant over to the right. To get over to the right side of that cash flow quadrant, you need to be out of the truck. You need to be the business owner. Meaning that if you don't show up to work, you're still getting paid. Somebody else out there is doing the work on your company's behalf. So whether you show up to work or not, you're still making money regardless of the fact. It's a bad business model, in my opinion. Number 3, the third thing I wish somebody would have told me is that trucking is a dead-end career. The fact of the matter is, doesn't matter if you've been out here a couple months, couple years, 20, 30 years. You're going to have a rookie driver come in and pretty much make the same rate that an experienced driver is going to make. What industry does that? Oh yeah, the trucking industry does that. After 20, 30 years sitting behind the wheel, sitting in the seat, what do the majority of truck drivers have to show? Pension, gold watch, retirement dinner. You don't hear too many truckers getting those perks anymore. Truckers that are retiring may have a little bit in a 401k company setup or an IRA, but it's not much. More often than not, there are truck drivers who've been in this industry for years and years, sacrificed their time, sacrificed their family, and have nothing to show. So that's what I wish somebody would have told me before I got into trucking. Now, you guys may know that I mentioned my dad on this channel before. He was a truck driver, and he was adamant about me not getting into trucking. Now, I got into trucking long after he passed away, but he never went into the details of why I shouldn't get into trucking. My dad was old school, and pretty much his motto was, do as I say, not as I do. Now, that might have worked when I was a kid, but as an adult, I need details of why I should or should not do something. So let me wrap this video up by saying this. It's a harsh reality for me to have to face that trucking didn't ruin my life. And it may be a harsh reality for some of you having to face that trucking hasn't ruined your life either. Your life was probably a hot mess before you got into trucking. But let me wrap up the video once again by saying this. Trucking is what you make of it. Yes, the industry is trash. It's not what it used to be. Any old school trucker can tell you that. But you got to have a desire for this lifestyle. This lifestyle ain't for everybody. Can you make money out here in trucking? Absolutely, you can. You got to find your niche. You got to find your way. Quite frankly, I'm still looking for mine, looking for my niche, looking for my way. But trucking is what you make of it. And for those of you who are putting out these videos about, how bad the trucking industry is, this, that, and the third, and looking for someone or something to blame, my best advice is take a hard look in the mirror before you start blaming someone or something for what's going on. If you're an adult and you're of a sound mind and can make rational decisions, even if you can make irrational decisions, at least have the ability to own up to the decisions that you make. But that's all I got in this video, guys. This is the Lone Wolf Trucker, and I'm signing out. Peace.